So this conversation is super fun to me for some reason. So I decided to print this out and actually try to analyze this. So first of all, I think it's important to note that this piece was written in 1944 by a Russian composer named Dmitry Kabalevsky. So two things about that. 1944 tonality was not quite as centered as it might have been in the 1800s or 1700s. So it's important to notice that music theory had changed during this time, and a key signature was not nearly as important because music was becoming more chromatic. So that's the first important thing to remember. The second important thing is that Russian music traditionally from this time period, if we're kind of talking about the concept of mutability, it does tend to change between modes quite a bit. It was something that happened a lot with composers of this time, but not even of just this time. Schubert used to do it in his music as well, even though he wasn't Russian and lived earlier. So what I think is happening, that actually this piece is in the key of A major, and I think it's firmly in the key of A major, but he's just playing with us. So if you look at the very first measure right here, obviously we don't have a key signature, so it could be in the key of A minor, it could be in the key of C major, or really because it's from this time period, it could be in any key. I'm going to say that it's in the key of A major very firmly. Okay, so this is starting on an A major chord, and he's toying with us. He's changing mode between major and minor. And I think that really is interesting, it applies to the piece, because a lot of the pieces from this time period were very characteristic, and the character in this piece is a clown. And in the Russian circus, as somebody else on the posts that we're discussing this mentioned, they have a happy clown and a sad clown, and the sad clown tends to taunt the happy clown. So I think that's exactly what is happening right here. If you look at this whole entire first phrase, it ends on this strong C sharp. That should be lowercase. So I think that establishes that is firmly in A major, actually, if you look at it. Right here, obviously, we're kind of minor again. He's continuing it on. But because of that accent, and because that note, that C sharp, is longer than any other of the C's that happen in here, I think that causes it to be A major. Back to major, and then here we have a 5 chord. I don't think it's a 5/7 chord because I consider that a passing tone. Major, another 5 chord, minor 5, which again, mutability, changing between major and minor in different modes. This all happens a lot in Russian music. I'm going to label this major just because we have the G sharp and the C sharp there, so I think even though there's a lack of a C right here, he's being ambiguous on purpose, I think, at this point, but I'm just going to call it major. Abruptly, and really hilariously, we change to a key that's decently far from A. So we're in the key of F major, F minor, F major, F minor, F major, F minor, and then we're back to the major again. Accent, long note, major chord. Okay. Now here I had to kind of take some time to figure this out because I'm not good at German and augmented 6 chords and all that stuff. So I actually spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out what he was doing here. And this is what I think. So I think that he's changed to A minor right here because obviously the A's are a shared note between those two keys. And we have a C natural, which is also shared. So I think that was an easy transition and why he did that. And here we're presented with a really unstable section. In the key of A minor, we have this 1-6-4 chord. This took me a moment to kind of figure out because it's missing an F, but I had kind of implied an F on this because I don't really know what other chord it could possibly be. And I think it makes sense that it would be a German augmented 6 chord because they tend to lead to 1-6-4 chords. So I think that actually is what's happening in this. He's really playing between those two chords here and making it very unstable. So again, like setting the stage that it's not an A minor because we're not going to give you the root position A minor chord. It's the second inversion. Here he gets back to a 5/7 chord. I'm not going to do inversions in this, but just so here it's getting louder, and then okay, hey, now we're at A major, very firmly at A major, and then again we're switching between the two keys, modes rather. And then again we get that big C sharp, okay, with the accent there. And here, major, There's our 5 chord. Again, I don't really consider this one a 5/7 chord because that's a passing tone. Major, and then that minor 5. And then you know what? We're firmly again back at that C sharp. And because there's a rest here, I think that that really makes that note stand out. So again, he's really playing with us a lot and playing with the theory behind it, which I think is really fun. But he's making these C sharps extremely important. Here we obviously have a C chord. So that one's interesting too, because that one is playing on ha ha ha, like is it in major, is it in minor? But then we have our 5/7 chord and firmly end on a major chord with an accent. So I think it's important to note that anytime he has these C sharps throughout here, or you know, anything that is on the major tonality, he's putting an accent on it. So he's really saying the happy clown wins.